Right, so there's the good old Palace of Culture. And this is Marszałkowska, Poland's Oxford Street, if you like. Some of the shops, department stores, which you can see on this side of the road are, well, the first department stores that were there, or the biggest department stores under the communist period. Here we had like a kind of covered bazaar, but that's now been dismantled and replaced with something else. That's what a Polish ambulance looks like. This is all new there, and I just pull that back. This is where these glass things, these are how they looked even since 20 years ago, with large adverts on, which change from time to time. Marks and Spencer's is obviously in there. That's Marks and Spencer's isn't only in there. Marks and Spencer's is also starting to sound like Alexei Sayle in the Marks and Spencer sketch, but it's also in Zloty Tarasy, which is over there a bit. But Marszałkowska stretches right the way through the sort of centre of Warsaw. You've got the Novotel here. It used to be called Hotel Forum. Now it's called Novotel Accor Hotels. It was built by Swedish people still in the communist period, and it was, like I say, the Forum at the beginning. Buildings tend to have a lot of adverts drawn all over them, and then you've got big television adverts these days. And amongst it all, you can still see some of the places which are, you know, old-fashioned, like these things with the painted all in pink, with also the pink cards in front of the balconies. Or it's not really card, is it? It's kind of like, I'm not sure what it is actually. It's sort of probably plasterboard painted pink. I think that was Budimex's building. Not sure that it's this. I think it has some state function now, that building. Lingua Nova, obviously some kind of a translation agency there for language teaching, which is a big business here. The tram's going up and down the middle. Coming to the end, well, it's not the end of Marszałkowska because it goes down, but you can't go in a car down that part in this direction, down Marszałkowska. It becomes a one-way section down there, just coming back up again. This part here is called Platz Konstytucji, and it's famous for these big light bulbs, if you like, on the pillars. I think I have done quite a bit of filming here in Platz Konstytucji before now, especially on those long walks around Warsaw. But basically, here you see it from the car, which I suppose is always a little bit different, and of course a new camera. That's the 35 tram. When I go home by tram, that's the one I usually take, because it goes from pretty much from the office to the to home. It's about sort of what you might call 2 minutes walk from the office to 5 minutes walk from my house. So it goes 25 minutes to get there, because it's got quite frequent stops. It goes a little bit not in a direct route, but at least if I get a decent seat, you know, not too grubby looking seat, not too cold, then I might as well just sit it out rather than change at the centre for a different one, which is a bit more direct maybe. It goes every 15 minutes, so that on average you'll wait 7.5 minutes. Later at the night it starts to go once every 20 minutes, so then you'll wait on average for about 10 minutes for it. There's the Pomnik Jazdów Polskich, which is if you like, it's a celebration of the old Polish Uhlans, the use of cavalry in the old Polish army. and that's a very pleasant park. That's the first part of Mokotowskie Pole, or Pole Mokotowskie, the first part of it there. And there's a second part of it on the other side of Aleja Niepodległości, which is the street we're now going under. Aleja Niepodległości. And on this side, behind all this, which is slightly badly used or misused parkland here, not really very developed properly, that all has to be taken away, except for perhaps just one or two things here. Lots of it is ex-industrial nearer the road, but then behind it is the continuation of that park going diagonally to almost where I live. So you can, if I walk it to the centre, I can, you know, pick a way through the park, and it's quite an effective way to get to the centre from where I live. Another way is to come up Grudziecka, of course. So we have the police. I better put the camera down a little bit. Police won't be too impressed by this. I'll keep it down. And he's got his back to me, but there are others of them around. Don't know what they're up to. I think they're probably one or two remaining bits of corpse coming here from Russia. I really want him to see me. They've got daffodils planted out here. There's the Pomnik Lotnika in honour of Żwirka and Rigura, those two famous. And this is very nice, the way the tulips have been planted here. Sort of like creamy ones in amongst all the sort of purple ones. I quite like that combination of colours. Oh, and there are some red ones amongst them as well, but they don't seem to be coming forward very much. So that's going to look like a tremendous display shortly. It already does look good, but they're not really out in full yet. You can see they've been freshly planted. I don't really think that they expect those tulips to be there over a number of years. I don't know why he wasn't going forward. I was a little bit worried that somebody would suddenly come out from nowhere there for a minute. So there we are, Żwirki and Wigury, which I've done so many times I'm not going to bore you with right now, and I don't have anything else on my mind to say. I just wanted to really show you that Ulica Marszałkowska. I've been to a Turkish kebab place and got some kebabs for the family, so they're down there. I think I showed you them, and that should be nice for the evening, and I should probably go on and code up. Ah, yes, I was right. Look, you've got all the police here. The radio's over there with its... That's a radio van there with its little satellite up. I've seen that driving around sometimes. But evidently, there's something coming back from Russia. Whether it's an identified or an unidentified set of remains, I have no idea. Probably by this time unidentified. But still, the relatives and the people wishing to honour the remaining. Oh, that's what's going on. Okay, so the policeman, because he gave completely opposite orders to the ones that were coming over the lights, and he hadn't told us to stop, nearly caused an accident there, which was well done of him. As if we haven't had enough deaths already recently in this country, or connected with this country. So they haven't completely blocked off the traffic for this return of whatever is returning, or whoever is returning. But and some things, I mean, while there was the see, somebody decided to take their car off and pull it up on the grass there, which is not a very good idea. The police will probably not be too happy about somebody doing that, but they've got their solidarity flag, and probably that's somebody from who's got some right to be there, somebody that really knows the people that remained I didn't intend to film this actually, it's one of these things that happens. If you put the camera on, things happen. That ought to be the tagline of my channel, really. If you put the camera on, things happen. Maybe I'll put that up as a tagline for the whole channel one time, I don't know. But you can see that he's parked himself up on the grass, strictly not allowed, but he's got this solidarity flag there. These are all people that were solidarity members back in the... I mean, the remains are all remains of people who were solidarity members back in when Europe was being freed from the tyranny of communism. So nobody is going to argue, I don't think, with somebody parking up in the middle of the road. If it was the likes of me doing it, I'd probably get told off, but I don't think anybody is going to argue with somebody who's here to express mourning. It wasn't a solidarity flag, it was a Polish flag, but at the distance it looked like one, so I was wrong about that. But still, he's obviously showing his mourning, and I'm in the wrong lane really, but never mind. I'm going to go straight, but even if this does cause me to be a little bit slower than I would have been, it's fair enough, because at the end of the day this is history in the making. I really don't know what they're expecting to come up and when it's going to come, but these days of mobile phones and everything, people tend to know fairly accurately around about the time when things come up. Oh, here we go, it's coming. That probably wasn't it, because I would have expected a more staid pace of human remains travelling up here. I wish I could tell you who it was actually, but I haven't really had the time. It's tax week, and I haven't had the time to, or rather it's tax week for me because I'm in the Czech Republic all next week, which would be the absolute deadline. So this is my absolute deadline now, but effectively I can drive around this, but on the off chance that I might actually see something for you that might interest you, then I shall stay in this lane, which have basically stopped here and intending to... So a bus has come and stopped over there. I mean, the kebabs are going to get a little bit colder than they would have done, but I've got a microwave, so at the end of the day it's not the end of the world. They keep their heat quite well. I mean, when you've got 4 or 5 of them in there, then they tend to keep each other warm a bit. So I think they will be still quite fresh and tasty. Alright. Well, as I'm not really sure who is going to come and whether it's going to be in 5 minutes or in, you know, half an hour, maybe I should have to abandon this. It's already been 15 minutes. It'd be hard for me to put anything more on at this full rate of, you know, HD, and the light's also going down, so it's not going to be so good. So I think I may well, with the next lights, I'll probably will leave. And on the other hand, if anything happens, I shall try and put the camera on in time to get it. But I'll call it a day just in case. So see you again on the channel where, what was it? If you turn the camera on, things happen. Well, there does seem to be some movement. Oh, it's just a police car. There's a lot of people there at the end of Pruszkowska. That's exactly where I was filming from the other day. I shall carry on just a little bit down here. I usually go down there, but I shall carry on a little bit down here. I can, on the off chance that I do see something. Certainly a lot of folk out there now. But as yet still nothing as much has happened. I thought these lights were going to be the actual hearse coming up, but it turns out that it's not. The occasional cars come out. I don't know whether they're people that met these coffins at the airport. I say these coffins, I mean these days they're coming back several at a time. Now usually things are quite accurate, the way that people usually come out pretty much on time for things, because they're monitoring it on TV real time. It's about all there is on television, in fact, when anything like this happens. Here we've got the an awful lot of people just all lined up there. Funny look there from the policeman. Anyway, this is what I look like driving. It'll be interesting to see what that looked like. You can see the lovely flowering cherries that are here at the moment in bloom, like that one. And it's causing quite a big block back on this street, which I think is Ratsławicka. Is it, or is it Rakowiecka? I always get too muddled up. Ratsławicka or Rakowiecka, I'm never sure. Never sure. Ra something anyway. So it doesn't help when the trees grow in front of the road sign. But, I could have put you right then, but I can't when the trees are. This bit's called Moldavska anyway, which is Moldavian Street. Got some nice delicatessen shop over there. Delicatessen, by the way, in Poland doesn't mean quite what you'd expect it to in Britain or in Germany or in a lot of other places, because in delicatessen over there you expect, you know, that the deli counter, that's where you get fine things, you know, like fine luxury smoked meats and stuff like that, and other, you know, that's the deli counter, isn't it? But here in a delicatessen shop just as a fancy word for any old corner shop with groceries in it. Generally there may or may not be deli items available, and how delicate they will be is quite another matter. So there we are, enough of that. I'm afraid I didn't see the actual arrival of those coffins, but I can't do everything. Here we see a fine example of bad parking. I've got somebody in somebody with his pretend taxi, or Przewóz Osób, in the way of me getting into this fine gate. Never mind, it was easy enough to deal with it. Cheers. Okay, so I'm going for a bit of a walk. It's the night time and I've got my camera on the lowest setting. It's not on HD setting. For those of you who are interested in those things, this is a bookshop, incidentally, with its nice display all illuminated even through the night for people to go and have a look at the books that they might want to go and buy in the morning. So it's quite a nice place. I have to admit, I've never even been in that bookshop, but it looks quite interesting. I should go there sometime. This is multi-school, a school of languages. Everybody who's watched my channel for any length of time knows what I think about traditional language teaching, and I think that I'm not the only linguist on YouTube that's come to the same conclusions. If you watch Steve Kaufman, you'll hear him say the same thing. If you watch any of the other people, I think Lao Shu 5500 says the same things, pretty much. And the reason why I came out tonight, I can see hardly anything at the moment, you probably hear my voice, is that I'm trying to get to the pond. I want to know whether the frogs are making their little noise or not yet. Because last year I didn't really catch it for you, my audience, and I would really rather like to have a crack at getting that, at least on audio. I won't be able to see anything, but just to listen to what the pond here, the big round pond near our house, what that sounds like at night. You won't see much, but just this is about sounds really, this film, and how good the camera is at picking up those sounds. In the background you may be able to hear, or may not, that there are the television's on all over the place showing a game which obviously Poland's playing in, because there's a lot of jubilation whenever any good piece of play happens, so it must be Poland playing. You wouldn't expect that kind of jubilation just from any old team. I hope I don't get lost here wandering around the back bits. I don't really have my orientation. So, well, that sort of thing there that looks like a Greek temple, I don't know if you can see it. That's actually the place where they take Oligocene water from 400 metres below Warsaw. Can you see that? If I walk a bit closer up to it, you should see it properly. It's obviously, I think it probably is closed for the night. They should lock these things at night, but for most of the time you'd be able to go in there and take your canister, and for free, there's no charge for this, it's part of what we pay rates for. You're able to go in there and take water. You're not allowed to take your dog there, and you're not allowed to put your bike inside. You have to leave the bike tied outside. Then you can go in there and you can take water between 9 o'clock. Oh, I can't read it from here. Never mind. Anyway, what we're going to do now is go up to the pond and just listen to see if we can hear the frogs at it. They're chirruping away, because I've heard this once without a camera on me. Now that I carry around the camera all the time, I haven't actually gone near the pond and heard it. So I went out specifically this evening in the hope that they would be chirruping, but it's not a very warm evening and they like to chirrup. Yeah, they start at this time of year doing it, but they like to chirrup when it's a bit warmer of an evening. So I may not be successful, but we'll see. can probably hear a dog. Oh, that's the pond. You can't see it. I can, thankfully. You're right, you can see it because you can see the lights reflecting back off it. So you know the pond is there. It's usually full of frogs. But there's no sound of them at the moment. Can't hear even one. So I shall have to come back another time and hope to catch them at their chirruping a little bit later in the year. I probably came a little bit too early. The gatekeeper of our sort of house thing, he said, oh, they'll definitely be chirruping, but hasn't happened yet. My wife didn't think it would. The gatekeeper thought that it would, so it's my wife 1 point, gatekeeper 0 at the moment. So no success this time. There's the moon up there. And another one down there in the water. I don't advise trying to catch it. Oh, we've gone off, catch it. Well, someone's letting off fireworks. Obviously the football match must be going according to somebody's intention. Either that or they're patriots of St George's. It's St George's Day today. And the English are, as usual, saying that they would like to remember St George and be all patriotic about it and not be called fascists for doing so. One thing which is rather funny though is the way that before it was so important to celebrate Englishness, we just didn't bother. When I was a child, just nobody bothered about it. Oh, what we got here? You see there in the just swimming through the in order to keep them in the light I'd have to walk backwards to get them back in the light again, but there's a couple of mallards just swimming around in there in the dark. Doesn't seem to bother them the fact that there's not much light. They can certainly see each other because they're the one's following the other, the male's following after the female. See if I can evoke a sound from them somehow. See if I can turn them into, make them make a noise. Oh, they're coming this way now anyway. No, they're going away now. It's all right, all very well impersonating us, but that was just taking the mickey. Dogs running around the place like mad. That's a little miniature schnauzer. So there we go. If you're a dog owner, you have to go out in the middle of the night into remote spaces hoping that your dogs will protect you if any idiot comes up with a video camera. In the meantime, the little schnauzer looks at me and thinks, oh, I hope you're not an idiot. I have to go and protect my mistress. And I don't quite fancy protecting my mistress against a person that looks quite as heavy as you do. But to its relief, I walked on. You can probably see the blossom on the trees. Oh, there goes. Oh, that made those ducks. Yeah, there's lots of blossom, lots of cherry blossom up there. You can't see much, it's just hints of things on this film to look at. But you get the idea. Got cherry blossom all there through the light. Probably see all that forsythia there. You can see a lot more in the daytime, but yeah, that's what it's looking like. I pulled some off another bush the other day and put it in the water to try and take root, because I want some forsythia bushes in my garden later. I took four stems before. I've just taken a few stems of it, and one grew really well, and I gave it to my mother, and now it's quite big. So it works. You can't keep them in water for long. Just when they start making roots, and you put them in soil, keep the soil nice and wet, and off they go. And it takes several years for them to turn into a tree, but you just keep at it, keep them outside of course, and they're nice and hardy, and they can handle the British climate really easily, and they can handle this one pretty well as well, which is more than I can say for most of the stuff I've got in my garden, so I can just hope for the best with it. And of course you don't have to pay. You can go and get the złoczenie, or whatever they call forsythia in Polish. You can go and buy it. But why would somebody do that? Look at the size of that. You can't even see it, of course, but this huge great weeping willow. Massive, it must be 100 years old or something. Lovely tree. But why would you buy it? Why would anybody buy forsythia when you can simply just pull a few stems off one which has got hundreds of stems, and then make new plants, each of which will end up having 100 stems itself? You know, there's no limit to the amount of vegetative reproduction that you can do on certain plants. Well, there is a limit in the end, but the limit's not one which you're practically gonna hit in a lifetime. When you think about the banana, it's got no seeds. Bananas don't have seeds. You can see when you cut open a banana where it would have seeds if it had seeds, just like you can tell where, you know, maybe I won't go into that, but basically it doesn't have seeds, and so all the banana plants that you see in the world are reproduced from vegetative means of propagation, because you can't do it with seeds if they don't have seeds. It's all vegetative. So in the end, that stock does get tired and worn and worsened over time, until that particular piece of DNA comes to the end of what it can possibly do without any more sexual reproduction, but that takes a lifetime. Many shoots and growths can be made before that piece of sort of fatigue, if you like, sets in. So and so it is with a lot of this, hardwood and softwood cuttings, from one tree to the next, and then to the next, and then to the next. And over decades you're really dealing with no new genetic material. You've got something which is exactly the same individual as the one that was its great-great-grandfather several generations ago, just simply cut again and growing on, cloned. And it works for a long time, but I don't think it works for forever. At the end of the day, it says it very clearly in Genesis that God created things male and female, and therefore you need to have sexual reproduction coming in at some stage. That's what flowers are all about. They're all about sexual reproduction. Flowers are all about sex. They've got male parts and female parts, and some types of plant have male flowers and female flowers. So you've got certain things like holly, where the female bears the berry, the male has a different appearance of flower to the female flower, and doesn't have any berry at all. Same with buckthorn and a whole bunch of other things. But other types have male and female in the same flower, but you need to have a cross-pollination, or it's advisable to have a cross-pollination from a different plant to keep the sex going, sexual reproduction, so that you end up with, I always get meiosis and mitosis all muddled up, but basically in sexual reproduction you end up with a whole new set of genes that you didn't have before. The whole pack of cards gets shuffled, and it hasn't just got 52 cards in it, obviously it's got many thousands of different cards in it. And that's where God's infinite variety is worked out. God's made a world in which sex is actually very important, and this is his unique sexual creation, because all of the other angels in heaven made before, they are not sexual. Jesus Christ says the same about this, that Jesus mentions that they're not given in marriage, they're not married or given in marriage, the angels in heaven. So at the end of this creation will be, all of the people that were to have come about by that amazing ongoing variety. They'll be there won't be any more coming. And once we get to the end of time in this creation, all the human beings that were going to be made will be made, and we shall join with those other parts of his creation in heaven, outside of time and space, in a much more amazing and wondrous and glorious existence. It won't have the sufferings here, the trials and troubles. Life is on this planet is always on the edge. It's always on the edge, so that things are continually needing to find new ways to survive and evolve, so that variety can come out. But I certainly don't believe in evolution as the origin of things. I certainly believe in ongoing change and variety, natural selection, things like that. That's all very well observed, but But I don't, and speciation is well observed, but I don't believe that that's how we came about. I don't believe that's how, you know, that human beings arrived on this planet at all.